So I was going to give a little overview of two very different mixers here, but I was able to get this Xenyx X1204 USB, and I plan on using it for home karaoke. I also have this Xenyx 802, which I've used in the past, and wanted something a little nicer. But, you know, is it really worth for the average home user to buy something like this? I think it is. I think you pay a little more, but you get a lot more. There are pros and cons to both. Immediately you can see the size difference. So this is very portable, where this is heavier, bigger, bulkier. You can connect directly to the USB. You have compression. You have built-in sound effects, so reverb is built in. You have PFL, so you can control your gain a little better. And you have multiple outputs that I'll go into a little bit later. For this particular Xenyx, the 802, this is not the USB version, so if you want to hook it up to your computer, for example, for podcast, you would have to get the UCA 222 or another sound interface to connect by USB to your computer, right? So this alone is about $30. This is about $60. And if you really want to do decent karaoke at home, or recording, sound recording, or little live venues, you're going to have to add a sound processor. This is, you can get something cheaper like this, which is $70 to $80. So here you have $160 more or less. And you have 4 channels, or you can do up to 6 channels depending how you set it up. And your sound effects is still about the same quality as this one. This has 16 presets. This has just about the same 16 presets. Now all these knobs here, you can kind of do the same thing here. This is actually, you click to set it, push to adjust it, and then here you have the tap. So you have, like I said, various outputs. You have Alt 3.4, you have your main mix, and you also have a control room. They're in the back, so you can't really see them. So one thing to consider is, if you are using it for home, how you're going to hook this up to a home amplifier if you're not using powered speakers. And I'll make a little video on how to do that and the options you have. This is a little simpler because you only have one main out. So you're going to have 1/4-inch connectors to RCA connectors. That's it. Here you can have XLR connectors to RCA connectors, or you can have 1/4-inch plugs by using the control out. Different combinations that hopefully I'll be able to make a video. So this one I got for $180. So like I said, here's about $160, here's $180. You don't have compression here, which you have here. You don't have a low cut button, which you do have here. So you have low cut, you have compression, and you have your sound effects all built in. You also have the ability to set your microphone or your channels using the solo or PFL buttons. And watching here, make sure you don't get into the red. You don't have that option here. They both have phantom power. And the only thing that I worry about is that if anything goes wrong with this one, everything's built in. So it's a little more likely that something could go wrong with this one versus this one because it's so simple. I've tried them both, and I have to be honest, this does actually sound better than this one. So when I plug in this to this, and my sound output is not as nice, and the voice does not sound as nice, I feel that most of it is the compression. So the compression button is a big thing. So if I were to do it again and I was doing a podcast, I would definitely buy the 802 USB, which sells for about $80 to $90. And it has the USB connection for your sound, and it has compression. It does not have sound effects, it doesn't have echo or reverb, but for most podcasts you don't really need that. Your compression is going to really help your sound. For karaoke, you can do this setup like I did here. It's a little, you wouldn't need this, you would need this and this, so a little more connections, a little more to carry around and a little messier, versus this, it's all in one. You don't have to put anything external. For podcasts, I would still recommend this, but the USB version for karaoke, I would probably get this right off the bat. If you're semi-serious about your karaoke setup, I can just take this out with my amplifier and speakers and hook up the microphones and a source of music, and you're set up. So that's pretty simple. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll make another video on a little more in-depth going into the Xenyx X1204 USB.